This video is going to walk you through the process of analyzing Likert data with Excel. Now, in our example here, we have two different questions, one saying cheese is great and one saying veggies is great. We have individual respondents, and we want to get to some kind of average answer. The problem, though, is if you try to average out these, it doesn't really make a lot of sense because it's all text right now. So how do we convert this into a number easily inside of Excel? First, we want to do is turn this into a table. Turn into a table makes it a lot easier to work later on as we add different columns and try and update our formulas. Once we have a table, we want to find all of the unique items. This can be done with a formula called unique. I'm going to select the column, and it's going to tell me all of the unique values. Now, this is just handy if you have a really big survey because you might not know what every column has, and it's sometimes nice to have a standard list that comes out. And it's really more of like a check. You can just type it in if you want on your own too. What I'm going to do though is I'm going to grab this, copy it, and I'm going to paste it as values to remove the formula. And then I just normal values that I can edit and mess with as I want. All right, so now it's just normal numbers or normal text that I can add my numbers to. I also noticed that they're not really in order, so I'm going to move them around a little bit. I want neutral in the middle. I want NA to be blank, and then I also want a disagree here as well. Now I'm going to call this the label, and I'm going to call this the number. I'm going to give a number. Generally, agreement is going to be coded as a positive number. So on this 5 scale Likert, I'm going to go ahead and code from 5 to 1. Now that I have it, I'm going to go ahead and turn it into a table and then do my XLOOKUP. All right, so now I've got a nice table, I've got my source, and I'm going to add some columns and refer to this guy over here. Now I need a little bit more room, so I'm going to squeeze these to make them a little bit smaller here. And then I'm going to add a couple of columns in the middle just to give me some space for my new ones. All right, so first let's go ahead and do a Likert for our cheese. So I'm going to call this cheese 2, and I'm going to call it veggie 2. In each of these, what I'm going to do is an XLOOKUP. An XLOOKUP function is going to ask for 3 major things. First, it needs to know what the value is I'm trying to find. I'm going to go ahead and click on strongly agree. Now, one of the common mistakes you'll make at this point is they choose the entire column, and if you do that, this is not going to work. So make sure you choose just a single cell. Next, I'll type a comma, and it's now going to ask me where to look up strongly agree. I'm going to go ahead and grab the label over here. And notice in my column on the right, if I put my cursor just over the top of it, I have this little dark black down arrow, and then I'll select the column. And that way I can add more values later if I want. I'll do another comma, and then I'm going to say what I want to return as the number. All right, so now it's going to look up strongly agree, try to find it in the label column, and then return the number column. I'm going to close the parenthesis and then push enter. And now I have a nice column that converts all of my text values on the left into numbers on the right. Let's do the same thing for veggies. I'm going to do XLOOKUP. I'm going to choose just a single cell. I'm going to grab my labels and grab my numbers. There we go. And now I have columns that I can go ahead and add a summary row and tell it to average out for each of these. And now I've got a quick comparison of how many people like cheese versus veggies.